Okay, hello, welcome. I'm so excited to be here with Kathleen Cameron. Kathleen, first and foremost, is my mentor and a friend, definitely a friend, even before mentor, because Kathleen and I have a previous connection. And before I introduce you to her and tell you why she's so amazing, I will share the connection that we have. We were both authors in the co-author project that a friend of mine, Courtney, put together, Lead Her Publishing, called Self-Love Club. And we were in volume 1, the very original Self-Love Club. And that book was incredible. It was such a lovely coming together of all sorts of different women sharing their experiences of their journey towards self-love. So that book is actually available on Amazon, just as you would think it's spelled, Self-Love Club. And you can grab that if you feel like you need a little chicken soup for the soul style book around self-love to help expand you on your journey. And Kathleen is an amazing, incredible individual who has built this insanely impactful business that is about to hit, what was it? Eight figures. Yeah. About to hit 8 figures. And the most incredible part about this is how quickly it's happened. The Diamond Academy teaching people how to up level their own lives. And this has been in the making for under 2 years. I think it's just over a year and a half at this point.
It's officially a year and a half since I launched my coaching business.
Mm-hmm. And Kathleen came into this from nursing and network marketing, right? Yes. And you didn't even have that long of a go in network marketing, did you?
I was in network marketing for 2.5 years total, like less than 3 years.
Yeah, that was your side hustle at a certain
Yeah. It became my full-time thing for probably 6 months in between. Okay. I did it, and then I found this, which is my true passion. So then the rest of the things that weren't my passion just faded away.
Yeah. And you, it's not like you went into it like already making a ton of money in network marketing. You hit your success once you made this shift into the coaching world, into the mentorship world, into the world of building up other people through your program, through your coaching certification, and through the work of Bob Proctor, who many of us may know through The Secret, the movie The Secret. He is one of the awesome guys, one of the OG sort of manifestation guys, who also happens to be Canadian, which I think is super cool.
Not many people know that. Many people think he's American, but he's Canadian. He only lives probably an hour from me and an hour from you, probably either way. But it's just a beautiful example of a manifestation that came to life in such a short time. He started off as somebody that I just took a course through, and then eventually has now become my mentor, and then now a close friend. So it's beautiful what you can bring forth into your life when you focus on that end result.
Yeah. And another thing that I think is so amazing about your story is that you were not really like highly spiritual previous to, or in the world of energetics, or, any of this stuff where the manifestation is popular, right, in these circles and in these realms. But this is something that you just, how did you stumble upon it anyways?
Yeah. Well, so I have 2 science degrees. So science and evidence and the physical world was my life for 15 years being a nurse. So it was all about reading something in a peer-reviewed journal article to prove that it was true, And so I wasn't spiritual at all. I was somebody that had done a little bit of like mindfulness exercises at a couple of meetings, and I had read a whole bunch of personal growth and development books, but they were usually about how to change your habits to do better. Become more successful by being better. And that was kind of the message that I focused on. But when I actually came across Bob Proctor's material and his program, it had me question a lot of the beliefs that I had. It had me really, really question the idea that it's not just about how I behave, but it's also about co-creation. It's about the formless substance that's all around of us, the spirit that flows to and through us, and working through those energies. And so in connecting to spirit and spirituality, which I think is two different things, but connecting to spirit and spirituality have really helped me to 10x. I say 10x, it's because I don't even know what to say, because it's like 25,000x my life. I say 10x because everybody can understand that, but it's been way more than that.
Yeah. It's almost like incomprehensible. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I first found out about the success you were having, like through the grapevine of, the mutual people that we know, I was so curious as to what you were doing, what you were up to, that I scheduled a call in with the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And I knew they were going to try to sell me on the program, but I just wanted to get them on the phone because I was like, do you know who Kathleen is? Do you know what she's doing?
What did they say?
I was so curious. At that point, I don't remember exactly when this was, but at that point they were like, yes, we're aware of her. And yes, we see the success that she's having, but we're not exactly sure what she's doing. And I was like, that is so curious. I thought that they would like for sure know what you were up to. And I was like, wow, is this program like really doing it? But you are, at the top of the charts within Bob Proctor's like ranks. At like, are you the very top, or what, like
number one in North America? Yeah. But here's the thing, right? It's like everybody's looking for like maybe a program or a formula or something like that. But it's not about what you know, it's about who you are. And so I came into that organization so fast that they didn't even know what happened. Like it was like 1 minute I was like silver pin holder, gold pin holder, diamond, and then doing all these things. And so I changed a lot within that organization too, because they saw that I was doing things in a different way. Before I came in, the majority of the business that was being run through them was live in-person events. And I remember my first event, I was like, I'm not doing that. I am not having these in-person events. I am going to build a successful business online. So it has a lot more to do with just the method. People think that it's the method. So many people will take the exact path that I have taken, thinking that it's going to change them. But there are things that I've done that are very different.
Right.
So that's the key, is like in the personal behaviors and actions that I've taken have led me to where I am.
Yeah, because it's not about doing things. What is it? It's not about doing things in a certain way.
It's not about doing certain things.
Right.
It's about doing things in a certain way.
Right. Yes, exactly. And I have firsthand experience with that as well. I hired a business coach at the beginning of last year, and it was like, follow the method A, B, C, D, E, F, G, templates for everything. And it didn't work at all. And then I switched into a coaching container in which it was all about lead with your energy first, true to yourself, whatever it was, that was a lot more like energetic and feminine focused, which was really about like me trusting myself. And it was within that container that I actually hit my first 15K month, making that huge shift. And I didn't use any of the system that I had learned from the previous, pre-constructed method of how to run your business or do a launch. So the shift there is obviously powerful, but the quantum leap that you've made is just like beyond what most people can even consider, I guess you could say, right?
It seems completely impossible.
Exactly. So it's almost like unbelievable, where I know you've said in some of your trainings before that you hear sometimes the word scam coming up.
Yeah, no, it comes up. And I think it's because we're so used to being taught that things take time. And
Mhm.
so the story is, not to expect everything. Rome wasn't built in a day,
Yeah.
and how many people will talk about, yeah, you see my success now, but there was 10 years of hustle and grind in behind that.
Right.
And that is so great. And I don't want to discount anybody that has put in the time and effort and has achieved success. But the thought that I had going into this, and when I really, really made a decision to quantum leap my life, was that it was possible, that it
Mhm.
was not going to take me 10 years, that it was going to take me a few months, that I could literally just quantum leap myself forward. And it was understanding that it wasn't outside of me, but within me. So we talk about
Yeah.
strategy. I posted something on my story the other day. I don't know who I got it from. I don't even, maybe I got it from you, but it says, my soul is my strategy.
Mm.
And I just, yes, like that is the key. And so
Yeah.
when people want to talk to me about what strategy I used and how I do this and how I do that, how do I lead generate? How do I convert? What's my convert ratio and all this kind of stuff? I'm like, no, like we're not going to talk about that because any strategy that I use works. I truly do believe that.
Right.
And so there's so much freedom in that because I try new things all the time. I do different ways and it's so fun. Like you're just in a fun vibration.
So quickly, for anybody who's not super familiar with the term quantum leaping, what would you call that? How would you explain that?
Quantum leaping is literally going from one place in your life to a completely different place, not in the traditional way that we would think. So it's doubling your income in 1 month. It's tripling your income in 1 month. Most of us don't expect that. One of my favorite books on quantum leaping is U Squared by Price Pritchett. And so the idea of U Squared is that you're taking yourself and you're duplicating yourself. And so you're taking your personal power that you have within you and you're using it in a different way. And so this is how you literally quantum leap yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've quantum leaped and you've clearly collapsed time, okay, as well. So how would you explain collapsing time?
Oh my gosh, I love this idea of collapsing time because people are like, well, how do you do that? Time is time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, but hold on a minute. Like, why do we feel like time moves slow and we need to take it one day at a time and slowly progress and go? So if I think about like climbing up a mountain, right? Like you have to take one step at a time and you have to climb up the side of that mountain. And it's going to take a certain amount of effort and it's going to take a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just hire a helicopter and get to the top with super ease and flow and just enjoy the view and take the helicopter back down. Like, I just feel like, why would I not want to do it in a faster, easier way than the grind that we're all used to?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So collapsing time is obviously like making things happen faster. And the previous sort of like explanation that I've heard about it is taking something that you know you can do and making it happen faster.
Yeah. So traditionally speaking, for somebody to make $1 million, so in my previous life, I like to say, I was making about $100,000 a year income as a nurse. I was a director in healthcare. And so $100,000 a year, it would take me how long to make $1 million? It would take me 10 years to bring in $1 million. Then there was taxes and all that stuff.
Right.
So when I decided to launch my coaching business, I made a decision that I was going to make $1 million and I was going to see how fast I could do it. It took me 7 months versus 10 years it would have taken me otherwise.
And then you ended up making, so in that last year in 2020, right, it was 3.3 million. And that was your first year of coaching.
That was my first year in business. Yeah. And so I could have accepted the belief because it's very, very common for businesses their first year to not even have a profit.
Right.
And for me to do 3.3 million, it was a decision. It was an expectation.
Okay. So there's decision, there's expectation, and there's belief.
Oh, yeah.
So my question for you is, there's a lot of different beliefs that you shifted.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I talk to you often and you tell me, well, I decided on this belief. I decided on this belief. I decided on this belief. And so as I'm also in this world, my question for you is, how do you change multiple beliefs so quickly, with such decisiveness, without spending your entire day like mentally going, okay, I'm reinforcing this belief, I'm reinforcing this belief, I'm reinforcing this belief. It's like, how do you avoid mental exhaustion when you're reprogramming yourself on so many different levels?
Yeah. One of the things that I think is really important is that you don't want to shift more than 2 habits at a time, but our habits are based on our beliefs. And so you really just want to go to the root of it. And we have so many different beliefs about all areas of our life. We have beliefs about ourselves. We have beliefs about our ability to be a good parent and what that means. We have beliefs about what constitutes a marriage and what doesn't. And they're all relative truths. And this is the biggest difference, is that there are absolute truths in life that no matter where you go, it is true. No matter where in the world, it is true. So you're not going to go shift a belief about that necessarily, but absolute, relative truths are the ones that they're based on somebody else's idea that has been perpetuated generationally. And so there's so many societal beliefs that are being shifted so quickly, and it's about becoming aware of the new belief, allowing yourself to be open to that new belief, and then deciding which one you want to decide to believe. So if we think about things like conversations around gender or sexuality, or conversations around different races, all of those things are shifts in relative truths in our culture. And so, I grew up not knowing much about it, but now my kids grow up accepting and aware of all these different beliefs around it. So it's a beautiful thing, but you've got to take a look at what your beliefs are. And so the best place to go to examine your beliefs is in your imagination, because when I go in my imagination to the place where I've achieved everything that I've wanted, so I'm my highest, most divine self version, I live a life of abundance, I live a life of gratitude and joy and peace. What do I believe there? What do I believe then? Well, I certainly do not believe that I have to work 40-hour work weeks, hustle and grind at 2 jobs just to make $20,000 a month income. Right. I believe that I can multiply and 10x myself. So there's a lot of beliefs around that. So what I do is I create this new image of myself at the end result, and I'm always comparing my beliefs about me to that. So what I believe today. So it's not necessarily like 20 beliefs at one time. I just notice something and I'm like, I just noticed something that's not in alignment with who I want to be. And so the very first one, Millie, that it took a little bit of shifting, but it was so profound, was around my body and the look of my body, believing that my whole life, I believed that I had to be thin to be successful. I had to be thin to be liked and to be loved. And that was being healthy and being good and matching societal beauty standards. And so that belief started shifting before I was in this material. Even when we wrote Self-Love Club, I had shifted. I had started to love my body the way that it was. But when I got in this material, I found out that I thought that I had to lose weight to have a successful business. And the moment that I said, well, wait a minute, there's lots of curvy women who are like totally living in success, abundance, and prosperity. There's something to be said there. So that's one little belief. But even yesterday, this popped up for me again, where I have somebody that's enrolled for my coaching and my coaching program. And she has 1.2 million followers on her Instagram. And she is probably the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And the first thought I had was, she wants to work with me. And so I noticed in that moment that I still have this lingering feeling around beauty and what it means. So it was good. I'm always examining.
Yeah. And that you immediately say it's good, right? Because when we encounter our limiting beliefs, and I went through this personally too, is that we can sometimes go into a shame spiral around like, oh, why do I still believe that? Like, and then it's that inner self-talk where it's not productive at all. So what do you do in those moments? How do you keep it how do you keep it like, oh, that's good, you know?
Exactly. Like, that's so good is what I say all the time. People actually like quote me sometimes on this because I'm like, oh, that's so good. Because as soon as something pops up for me and I have this like emotional feeling, I'm like, ooh, that is a good one. And it's because I'm inquisitive about myself. I'm constantly evaluating like what I'm noticing in life. And so as soon as I notice that, I'm like, okay, so what is this underlying belief that I have then?
Yeah.
And so yesterday it was like that I'm not beautiful enough to coach a beautiful woman. And it was like, that's insane. So I just, exactly. So I just wrote out like, just in my, I have this little journal that's sitting next to my bed all the time. And I just wrote out like, I'm so happy and grateful now that, you know, beauty for me is inside out and not outside in. And so that's the true belief, was that our external appearance has something to do with anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't.
Yeah, it's so it's really just the gratitude for the awareness, because what it means really is not that you're failing by having these limiting beliefs. It's
No.
that you the awareness is a huge opportunity to make a big shift.
Well, if we don't know what to shift, if we aren't even aware of our beliefs, many people, when they start working with me, Millie, they have no idea what their beliefs are. Like, there's a question, I'm sure you've done it. It's like, what are your current beliefs? And do you have good reason, sound reason for your beliefs? People are like, what is that?
What does
And I
that
was
even mean?
yeah, what does that even mean? And so I just start asking them questions about, like, you know, really think about some of the things that you believe to be true when it comes to life and business and the world around you and other people's opinions and all of these things. And then you start really picking out your beliefs. And so once you pick them out, once you are aware, that's how you change it. Like, you can't change it till you know.
So what do you suggest for changing beliefs? Like, what is the process there?
For me, I use something called autosuggestion. And so it's just suggesting something different. Because how that belief got there was because somebody told you it. Like, we were not born believing half of this stuff. So somewhere along the line, somebody told you that this was truth. And this was, you know, our norm, our cultural norms, our values, our belief system are passed on generationally. So somebody has told me these things and I've accepted them to be true. And so I'm going to suggest a different story. I'm going to suggest a new belief. And so for me to enter into a program and start learning about law of attraction and the universal laws and the power of the mind and connecting to source and spirit, I didn't know anybody else in my life that was doing that. Like, it was so out there. And now everyone around me is in this material studying it and believes it to be true. So it's just about changing the narrative. It's changing the belief, but it's done. You have to do it on your own. It's a conscious decision.
Right. So how do you use autosuggestion?
So auto-suggesting can be in so many different ways. So if you think about all the ways that we impress something on our subconscious mind, so you can write something out, you can speak it out loud, you can listen to it on audio, you can visualize it, you can watch shows on the topic. Like, whatever it is that you want to do, you can impress it onto your subconscious mind. But the most important thing people often miss is the emotional impact. So in order for you to impress something new on your subconscious mind, you have to be emotionally involved with the idea. So if I could tell you till cows come home that you can think something and it show up in your world, like literally think about it and it will happen. I could tell you that every day, all day, but until you accept the idea and you become emotionally involved with it, it'll never happen for you because you'll never believe it. And so we have to believe it and we have to become emotionally involved. So often I'll say to people, well, what would it feel like if you did believe that? Tell me. And so then they go there and they're like, oh, well, I think that would be nice. So I'm like, okay, we're starting.
Yeah. That would be nice. Yeah. So if you're encountering somebody who's like, well, I don't know how it would feel.
They're just not using their imagination.
Yes.
I never used mine. This is the thing. I know without a shadow of a doubt. I used to say when I was 20, 21, I would say I'm not creative. I do not have a creative or artistic bone in my body, so don't even ask me. You know, it was like, I couldn't interior design a room. I couldn't paint a painting. I had no idea. So, but what had just happened is that I had gone so much to living according to my five senses that I wasn't able to go into my imagination and see something new, see something different. So as kids, they're in their imagination all the time. That's where they go. So they're playing, they're being creative, they're drawing, like they're learning and they're growing. And somewhere along the line, we just stop. We start reading what's in a book instead of seeing what's in our imagination. And so I've switched now where my imagination is something that I am in all the time. I am attuned to it, and I can access anything I want there.
Yeah, I like to talk about it like the kids having a tea party. Like kids sitting around a tea party and they're wearing the floppy hats and the feather boas and they got all their stuffed animals sitting around and they're just having the most wild conversations about, you know, what's possible, and they're in it and they believe it and they're totally immersed in it. So it's the imagination, and like you were saying previously, it's just all the different modalities that you can immerse yourself into, right? Literal like immersion in the new reality, in the new belief, right?
Totally. And so then you ask yourself, so I've changed my belief. I want to believe XYZ. And so this is the new belief, but am I actually being that way? So this happens a lot of the times with money, is that people will recognize that they have a belief about money, that it's scarce, there's not a lot of it, and it's really hard to make it. And so what they do is any money that they get, they keep it and they hang on to it because it feels so scarce. So we'll start working together and we start understanding, okay, so what's a better belief that could help you? And so a better belief would be that money is abundant, and that I will always have more money and that it will never run out. And so we start auto-suggesting that belief. But until you start changing the behavior around money, it's not going to shift. And so I will encourage people to go spend some money.
Yeah. So as you are making these big moves in your life, these big shifts in your life, you obviously are taking action. You're taking big action, right? So it's, some people may be familiar with the idea of inspired action, but in your case, the inspired action that you were taking was obviously some pretty big action, in terms of like living from the end result, living as your next self. So when people are kind of like, well, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do next, how did you know what to do next? Like the inspired action, it just suddenly came to you that you knew how to get hundreds of people into your offers. Like how did it come to you?
It's so fun. It's so fun. We all want to have a roadmap. We want a path. We want to say, okay, what did you do to get your first 10 clients? Then what did you do to get your first 50? Tell me your strategy. I want to know exactly how. But the thing of it is I didn't know that. It's in everything unfolding in my growth that brought it forward. And so inspired action to me is the type of action that I'm taking. It means that I'm in spirit while taking action. So this is the huge thing, is I'm connected to source. I am truly in a state of ease and flow. I'm allowing the attraction forces to work, because if we are just in action alone, we're going to force it. We are going to go, 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 go. We're not allowing. So inspired action to me is being in spirit and taking action. So certainly did that, but there's also your intuition. So I was thinking about myself with $1 million business, and I was operating on the frequency of a CEO of $1 million business. So when things would come up, ideas would come up, opportunities would come into my sphere, I would meet new people. I was always asking, ooh, this must be something that's going to bring me to the million. So I would trust it, have faith in it, and move forward. So little things, even in hiring my first VA and then moving to a point where I had somebody start to sell for me. Nobody told me that I should have people sell for me, but I just felt like one day I had this thought, wow, like what if I had somebody else that was working with me? We could be in twice as many conversations. We could help twice as many people. And so it just kind of grew from there organically, but I started making decisions from that end result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's the vision of the big picture, and people will often get these ideas of, well, wouldn't it be nice if I had someone else to work for me or whatever? And then the next thought that usually comes up is like, well, one day I will.
Yes.
One day.
So the one day thing, it's very, very similar to the like I'm becoming or I will be. So all of those things are actually just pushing your future further away, because in order to bring your future today to today, you have to act on it. You have to be, today is the day. You have to be, I am now, not I will be, but I am. I will be is a declaration that you are not. And if you're constantly becoming something or someone, and you're constantly working on something, you're not, it's not now. So I say I am that person. Even if I truly don't believe it yet, I still say I am. And so it's up to me to make sure I am.
Yes. Yes. It's your full-time job, right? So 2 questions come out of that for me. When you hire your first employee, like just say your sales, because I think anyone can hire a VA because, you know, you can hire an hour or 2 hours, whatever. So let's talk about the sales professional that you hired. When you did that, were you ready? Like, did you feel like you were at a place in your business? No. Okay. No, you didn't feel ready.
No, we were actually, she was actually my VA first. And so I had hired her for like a certain number of hours per week. And as I was operating on the frequency of my goals achieved, I started attracting way more people that were interested. We would do a 3-day training. She would be the one that would like tag people and manage the people that registered, and I would teach. And then, you know, so many people would be asking about questions and programming and all that kind of stuff. And actually she had said to me one day, you know, I think that I could probably like sell this. I could probably talk to people about it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I just thought about it for a minute and I'm like, no, like this is right. Like she actually should. And so she wasn't a VA anymore. After that, it was like, okay, so we just figured out what would that look like compensation wise. And so then she moved over and I hired another VA to replace her. And then what started happening, as soon as I had one person working with me, several people were like, I would love to do what she does. Can I come work with you? And I was like, okay. So it just formed and it just developed organically. You know, I didn't map out like an organizational chart for my company and fill the spots. I think this is what people think. So it's not, I'm not working according to a recipe. You know, how people just cook in the kitchen and have this beautiful meal without a recipe. That's what it's like.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's wonderful. I've now forgotten my second question because I'm just like, I'm literally like on cloud 9 today. This morning we woke up at the hotel. We were staying at a staycation and we went up to the pool deck on the 28th floor. We were hotel hopping. I don't know if I told you that, but we went to a second hotel and we were up at the pool deck at the 28th floor, and the clouds had literally come down to the point where we were above them. And it was such a beautiful view. And I just felt so synchronistic and right. I was like, I'm literally living on a cloud. This is incredible. This is beautiful.
I always say I'm up in the clouds.
Yeah.
People ask me, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm up in the clouds. And I mean it. Like I'm literally up there, creating everything there first, and then it comes here. Like it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's truly, truly beautiful what you have created. And I'll have to say, I was skeptical. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people out here that are like watching what you're doing. They're skeptical. They don't understand how it's possible. And that was like my curiosity why I ended up calling the Proctor Gallagher Institute, or they call me because it was a sales call. But anyways, so what it really comes down to is trust, right? It's faith, it's trust, and it's a new paradigm I would say, especially in like the feminine realm of like operating out of that trust, of the flow, right? And it's
Oh,
like
so much.
radical trust in yourself, in the universe, in whatever's coming down the pipeline for you. And it's like next level, how much more can I trust, right?
Yeah, and I think there has been this masculine mentality. And so that is the dominant paradigm, is this masculinity of do things, be somebody, do things, work hard, wear a business suit. Like there's this whole thing about being a peak performer. And I think what's happening now is we're realizing is that the masculinity, and it's just a type of energy that we all have that in us. So I have a hustle and grind part of me for sure that used to be out there, but I've really like diminished it, and I've allowed the femininity to come forward. But we're at a place now where we need to start embracing that feminine energy and that feminine mentality. And so if we think about motherhood, it's such a beautiful thing. If we take away all the bells and whistles and the examinations, and we take away the ultrasound, and we take away the hospitals, and we go back to our roots, we go back to the days where we would find out we were pregnant because our period wasn't there, and we would find out we were pregnant because we suddenly had a belly there, and we would know that our baby was okay because we would feel a little kick. I mean, this is the true essence of faith, is we had faith that we were growing this beautiful thing within us, and that we would come out with this beautiful baby. And so while you're nurturing and creating a human being within you, you're visualizing your life with the human being running around. And so that's the exact same thing we're doing here. We're having faith and trust in what we're growing, what we're building. And, you know, the subconscious mind is called the womb of creation. And so when you really start to tap into your subconscious mind and you really start to change those patterns, it's beautiful what you can create.
Yeah, that's such an interesting and beautiful visual, because it also brings up so many feelings of like a vulnerability and tenderness, and knowing that, you know, if it all doesn't go to plan, that we are resilient, and that you know, and that there will be another opportunity that presents itself along the way.
There's always a reason, right? People say there's a reason for everything, but I don't think that we truly embrace that. I think many people try to find a reason and they can't find a reason, and then they kind of hover around. But there truly is a reason, and the reason is our growth. And so when the challenges happen, when the contrast happens, it's actually an opportunity for us to work through something, to be able to move forward. And so, you know, I said today on our call that you were on, is like, you cannot be limitless until you know what it feels like to be limited. And so we thank the limitations for what they've done for us, and we move forward and release them.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything gives you an opportunity, and there's always an opportunity. It's been fabulous to hear from you, and to get some insight into how you've done what you've done. So I guess I have a couple questions left, though, for anybody who's feeling like, okay, whatever you're saying right now sounds all fine and dandy, but it sounds too simple. What would you say to that?
Well, we have a tendency to make things really hard and complex in life. But it really is that simple. And so when you can break it down to the simplicity of it, and you use the law of relativity in your favor, you understand that things are only what they are based on what we compare it to. And so you can choose to continue to see things as being hard and challenging and difficult and a lot of work, or you can say, I think that there's an easier way. I think there's a more simple way. And I think that I can actually go within and create from without. And so that's just the decision that I've made. And so the paradigm will keep coming back. The beliefs will keep coming back, even as I'm expanding and growing. It's like oh, maybe I should relax for a while. Maybe I should take a vacation. Maybe I should slow down. And it's like, no, because I don't want to live a mediocre life. I want to live an extraordinary life, and I want to help so many people through this material. And so I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And it doesn't mean the hustle, the grind. It means I'm willing to examine myself. I'm willing to do things different. Yeah, not a lot of people are.
Because it's hard. It's hard to look that deeply into the mirror.
It is. And this is where I've grown so much as a coach, because as a coach, you can only help somebody as far as you're willing to help yourself. So I have to grow to a certain level to help you grow to your next level. And so through me experiencing some of the harder, challenges, that's going to help me to help you through them. So I can reflect and I can say, okay, Millie, I've been through this. I've experienced this, and let me tell you a different perspective.
Yeah, it's really about perception and perspective. Absolutely. Because your perception is your reality, right? And it's your projection as well, right? So
yeah, totally.
Okay, so where can people come and find you should they want to take the next step and learn more about you and what you offer?
Yeah, social media is probably the best, I would say. I have a lot of people on Instagram that follow me. Facebook is good too, but I'm like full of friends. I can't add anymore. And then I'm on TikTok. I have so much fun on TikTok. I bring myself out a little bit on there. So those are probably the best places. And then I have a lot of links in my bios we do a lot of like free trainings and giveaways. I have some guided visualizations that are free on YouTube. So yeah, you can find me anywhere online.
Yeah, so we'll link up all of those different places in the show notes for anybody who's interested. And let's not forget that Kathleen just published a solo book.
Yes, do I have it here?
Yes. Becoming the One.
Yeah.
You can find that on Amazon. It's a fabulous book. It is, and I would say, a delightful read, not too long, so you'll be able to read it over and over and over again and really absorb the material. So I've read it twice already. Highly recommend. And yeah, my very last question for you is, what are you currently manifesting?
Oh my gosh. Well, I have my white G-Wagon that comes in 2 weeks. So that comes in 2 weeks. So, well, that's already pretty much manifested. I mean, we're just in the incubation period. No, I'm bringing forth new ways of doing things. I'm actually proposing, in the middle of creating and proposing, a brand new program. So I'm taking just everything that I've learned over the past 18 months and what I've applied into my life and creating a course for people who want a quantum leap. So if you want a quantum leap, then there's nobody better to learn how to do it from than somebody that's done it herself. So that's going to be the basis of the program. It probably won't be out till the new year, but I'm in like this beautiful state of flow. It's just like pouring out of me, and I look forward to putting it all together.
That is incredible. Something to look forward to, for sure. So thank you so much for taking time to come and be on the Milli Fox Show.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me, my friend.
Yeah. This is a beautiful relationship that we have that is just starting to, expand and grow and blossom. So I'm very grateful for it. Very grateful for you, and thank everybody. I thank everybody who's taken the time to listen, and
yes, thank you.
Go ahead and share this if you are inspired by it. Okay. We will talk to you all later.